Hey, how's it going? And today I'm going to show you how to make a compass so that if you're playing in a game and you want to know the direction your character is heading, you just press C on the keyboard and then it'll tell you what direction you're heading. And of course this has lots of applications for a game. The reason I'm doing this is that I had a game I was working on earlier and I said head north. I was saying there was a sign that said for the character to head north, and I realized, well, there's no compass, so it's hard to know which direction it is. So I thought having a compass is good functionality to have in your game. So this is just kind of a very basic compass type function. And this is also another second look at how you can use enumerators, which are basically label switchers. Label switchers is what I see them as. So anyway, to get started on this, we're going to create a blueprint class, and it's just going to be an actor, and I'll just call this BP underscore direction. And then we're also going to create an enumerator, and that's right here, and we'll just call this directions. And we might as well get this out of the way first. So we need to create, there's 8 directions that we can head. So we'll call this here directions. And so we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then we just have to name these. So we got north, and of course I can probably speed through this on the video, northeast, and then the last one is northwest. And there's our 8 directions, so we're just going to go ahead and save that, and we're done with that. And now we'll go back into our blueprint, and then there's just some different things that we've got to do here. This will all be in the event graph. And the first thing we're going to do is we're not going to be doing the input actions, we're just going to be using the keyboard press. So to do that, we're going to have to enable input. So go enable input here, and then we just got to type get player controller. If we don't do this and we press, I guess it'll be you press the keyboard C, it won't work. You just won't, nothing will happen. So we got to take care of that. Okay, and now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to get the player character. There's quite a few steps in here, so I hope to go as fast as I can. Get the player character, and then this is going to be based on the yaw, which is the Z axis on the rotation. There's something unusual about that that I didn't know. One of those things is that the way they have it set up in Unreal is that so we want to get the actor rotation here. It actually goes on a scale from -180 to 180, so we have to do an offset of 22.5 degrees to compensate for that. So we need to get the actor rotation, and off of this we are going to search for combine rotation, and we need to add 22.5 on the yaw as an offset because it ranges from -180 to 180, and so we need to add an offset, combine an offset on there to compensate for that, the way that's the scale set up. And then on this we can split this struck pin right here, and we're only interested in the yaw. So if it is what it is, if it's the offsetted positive value, then we don't need to do anything. But if it's a negative value, then we need to add 360 to it. So to basically normalize it. So what we're going to do is we're going to search for, first we're going to search for add, and we'll add 360 if it's a negative value. But if it's greater than 0, so we'll search for greater than. If it's greater than 0, then we're not going to do anything. So what we're going to do is we're going to go here off to select float value here. So in other words, this is going to go into here, and this is going to go into here. And this is all, we're having to do this all because the way the rotator is set up from negative 180 to 180. That's why we have to do all this part, to offset it and then add 360 if it's a negative value. So that's what that's all about. But it's kind of confusing at first. And now what we're going to do, because there's going to be 8 quadrants, we're going to divide whatever value we finally come up with by 45, because everything should have been adjusted for 360 now. So now we're going to go divide by 45, and then that'll put it into one of 8 sections right there. And then once we got that done, believe it or not, we're almost done, and we're on the home stretch. So now we have a float value, but we need to just convert it to an integer value. So we just look for something called floor, and we'll put that in there, and that'll give us an integer value. And now here, all we have to do is switch on int, and we need 8 pins, so we'll just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then we'll add our keyboard press right here. Keyboard press is going to be C, the letter C, and then we'll just plug this in here. And then we do need to create a variable here for our enumerators. So we'll just call this directions. Enum. And it should be here under enum, so I can search for directions. It's right there. And I can pull this onto the scene. I'll need that in a minute here. And then all we got to do, there's some repetition here, is set everything. So we're just going to go search for directions here. And we're going to set our enum. And so we need, we got to repeat here, Control D. Oops. Oh, how many do I have? I have 4. So we just line these up like this. And this will go pretty quick. So once I have these 4 selected, I'll just go Control D, and I don't have to do them all individually. And this goes pretty fast. So that's why I say the enumerator is basically just, it goes hand in hand with the switch. It's basically like the name of the switch, which is also the associated index value. So in this case, we're going to be using it for its label value, but it's not a variable. So then we just have to set these. So this is going to be northeast, this is going to be east, this is going to be southeast, this is going to be south, southwest, west, and northwest at the bottom. And then we can just drag this over here. And the last thing we need to do is we're going to print string. So we're just right click and go print string. And just pull all these in here like this. It's interesting that all these can go into one node. There's not a lot of nodes that will let you do that, where you put one node, so many different pins into one, so that's kind of cool. And then all we have to do then is just pop this into there. And that's it. So I'll try to zoom in here if you want to take notes on that. That's our system. This is probably the most non-intuitive part. And hit compile and save. And now I can just drag this into the scene, and hopefully this works. So let's see if it works. So I'm into the scene. I'm like, the sign said to head north. When I press C, and see I'm heading east, north, west, south. So yeah, there's our compass: east, 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 south, 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 and then this way, northwest. So it seems to be working fine. It's just getting your mind around that rotator set from negative 180 to 180. And that's all I had for today. I hope you found this helpful. So take care, have a great day, and I will talk to you next time.